All right, I've got to get your opinion on this because it very clearly looks like Apex is making a comeback. Yeah, no kidding. If you haven't taken a look at these numbers, we have not hit these numbers for quite a bit, and not only hit these numbers but retained these numbers for quite a bit. Like going into the weekend, we are still looking at healthy positive season numbers that we just don't normally have. So Apex Legends status reported that Apex Legends had actually peaked at 263,889 players on Steam, which was the highest in recent times, dating all the way back to August 2024, which is just a little under a year at this point. Now, let's be honest with ourselves. A year ago at this point, the game was definitely at some pretty low lows compared to the highs of all time, but let's just accept the fact that Apex is never going back to COVID numbers. We're never going back to how much players we had then, and the truth of the matter is where we are now is probably finding a good bottom. We're at a good stable ground, or maybe a good bottom a year ago, and now we're finally surging back up to some highs. But yeah, for those of you that played like 5 years ago, don't expect those numbers to ever get back to COVID era numbers. That's not even really what the game is like when it's truly alive. I think we are at the normal alive moment now. The 2020 to 2022 period was like a total honeymoon, and I don't think that'll ever happen again for like any game, hardly. So Apex Legends status had followed it up by saying we're back. Not only that, you also had an ALGS caster who said Season 25 of Apex is still hitting numbers going into the weekend. The game hasn't seen peaks like this in almost a year. It's a massive turnaround, but let's see if it continues. Vaji also saying Apex Legends is low-key making a comeback, showing these Steam charts. So what's been going on, and why does it seem like we may be getting some better statistics than normal? Well, a couple things I want you to know. Number one is over the last 6 months, no, I would say more so like 3 months, we've had a little bit better of patches than what we are used to having. We've actually had good balances and, you know, changes that make the players say the game feels fun again, right? Wraith is back into this partial meta, and it's like she's actually made fun again, and they're making balance changes to where, you know, some things can get broken, but at least it feels refreshing. At least it feels different. It doesn't feel predictable. It doesn't feel the same. It feels like a new season in itself, and they've made a couple of good consistent patches where the balance updates themselves are actually pretty good. On top of that, Season 25 obviously just announced and, you know, just launched, and we've got a new legend. We've got an old arenas mode back into the game, and some people that only played Apex for the sake of arenas are obviously pretty excited about that. But also in general, Apex seems to have made this commitment to trying to make the game better, and you've even heard like going into 2026 we're going to get an update that's quote so big that it might as well be Apex 2.0, and they're like trying to really focus apparently on making the game itself fun again. Even an Apex YouTuber, Burno, had said there were rumors and leaks that Apex were trying to do something to combat the Zens and Zims in the game, which is a complete aggravation for like everyone involved. Of course, nobody wants this stuff to exist, but it does. Anti-recoil attachments, or whatever you want to call them, they've been around for so long, and we've heard that they were trying to actually combat that like in the near future, this season, whatever you like. They were actually implementing stuff like right around the corner, and suddenly we're starting to see a lot of controller players, so says Burno, getting banned. There has been an actual, you know, good amount of people on the Twitter timeline saying that, you know, they've been banned. Totally different from the Apex Pro, which you can see on screen now, that got banned for calling someone toxic, and it was a permanent ban, by the way. And this guy just competed at the ALGS Open event, so don't get me wrong, Apex still has its flaws, and there's still moments like this that make me really mad with EA, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, real cheaters are still going undetected at times, but you've got pro players or semi-pro players that are getting banned, permanently banned, for cussing out their teammates that are telling them to neck themselves, like crazy stuff. Come on, man. There's still some sensitivity, snowflake activity going on, but like you've got to acknowledge that the game has definitely felt better and the numbers are definitely looking better. What are your thoughts on the state of Apex right now? Do you currently play? Have you reinstalled, or are you still taking a break? Let me know down in the comments below, and like and subscribe if you want to stay up to date with what's going on in the scene. And until the next time, we'll see you all later.